Assalamu alaikum, my dear respected brothers and sisters. Again, Ramadan Mubarak. And guess what? We are in our 9th day of fasting and our 10th day of reading. Alhamdulillah, we are just about there, inshallah. As a reminder, I meant to remind you at the beginning of Ramadan, and you probably have a day to do this, always seek Allah's mercy in the first 10 days of Ramadan. The first 10 days, we should be imploring Allah's mercy. The next 10 days, we should be imploring His forgiveness. In the last 10 days, we should be seeking away from hellfire, inshallah. So let us be mindful of this. Try to implore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this last day, this last 10th day of the imploring Him for His mercy, inshallah. Let us go to Surah 8. Surah 8, Ayat 41. This surah is an introduction to Surah Anfal, or the spoils of war, Ayat 41. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على قدم المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأجمعين. And know that out of all the booty that ye may acquire in war, a fifth share is assigned to Allah and to the apostle, and to near relatives, orphans, the needy, and the wayfarer. And if you do believe in Allah and the revelation we sent down to our servants on the day of testing, the day of the meeting of the two forces, for Allah hath power over all things. Remember ye were on the hither side of the valley, and they on the farther side, and the caravan of Lord round ye. Even if you had made a mutual appointment to meet, you would certainly have failed in the appointment. But thus ye met, that Allah might accomplish a matter already enacted, that those who died might die after a clear sign had been given them, and those who lived might live after a clear sign had been given them. And verily, Allah is He who heareth and knoweth all things. Remember in thy dream, Allah showed them to thee as few? If He had shown them to thee as many, you would surely have been discouraged, and you would surely have disputed in your decision. But Allah saved you, for He knoweth well the secrets of all hearts. And remember when ye met, He showed them to you as few in your eyes, and He made you appear as contemptible in their eyes, that Allah might accomplish a matter already enacted. For to Allah do all questions go back for decision. O you who believe, when ye meet a force, be firm, and call Allah in remembrance much and often, that ye may prosper, and obey Allah and His apostle, and fall into no dispute, lest ye lose heart and your power depart. Be patient and persevering, for Allah is with those who patiently persevere. And be not like those who started from their homes insolently and to be seen of men, and to hinder men from the path of Allah. For Allah compasseth round about all that they do. Remember Shaitan made their sinful acts seem alluring to them and said, no one among men can overcome you this day, while I am near to you. But when the two forces came in sight of each other, he turned on his heels and said, Lo, I am clear of you. Lo, I see what you see not. Lo, I fear Allah. For Allah is strict in punishment. Lo, the hypocrites say, and those whose hearts are diseased, these people, their religion has misled them. But if any trust in Allah, behold, Allah is exalted in might wise. If thou couldst see when the angels take the souls of the unbelievers at death, how they smite their faces and their backs, saying, taste the penalty of the blazing fire, because of the deeds which your own hands sent forth. For Allah is never unjust to His servants. These, after the manner of the people of Pharaoh, and of those before them, they rejected the signs of Allah, and Allah punished them for their crimes. For Allah is strong and strict in punishment, because Allah will never change the grace which He had bestowed on the people until they change what is in their own souls. And verily, Allah is He who heareth and knoweth all things. These, after the manner of the people of Pharaoh, and those before them, they treated as false the signs of their Lord. So we destroyed them for their crimes, and we drowned the people of Pharaoh, for they were all oppressors and wrongdoers. For the worst of beasts in the sight of Allah are those who reject Him. They will not believe. They are those with whom thou didst make a covenant, but they break their covenant every time, and they have not the fear of Allah. If you gain the mastery over them in war, disperse with them those who follow them, that they may remember. If thou fearest treachery from any group, throw back their covenant to them, so as to be on equal terms. For Allah loveth not the treacherous. Let not unbelievers think that they can get the better of the godly. They will never frustrate them. Against them make ready your strength to the utmost of your power, including steeds of war, to strike terror into the hearts of the enemies of Allah, and your enemies, and others besides whom you may not know, but whom Allah doth know. Whatever ye shall spend in the cause of Allah shall be repaid unto you, and ye shall not be treated unjustly. But if the enemy incline towards peace, do thou also incline towards peace, and trust in Allah, for he is the one that heareth and knoweth all things. Should they intend to deceive thee, verily Allah sufficeth thee. He it is that hath strengthened thee with his aid and with the company of the believers. And moreover, he hath put affection between their hearts. Not that thou hast spent all that is in the earth, could thou have produced that affection, but Allah hath done it, for he is exalted in might wise. And O Apostle, sufficient unto thee is Allah, unto thee, and unto those who follow thee among the believers. Commentary 92. No man of heart, spirit, or constancy can ever be cowed down by odds against him. We fight not for spoils or for captives, but for the glory of Allah, and for truth and faith. We must be kind to all, but especially regard the needs of our comrades, linked to us by ties of duty and affection. Our highest reward will be forgiveness and grace from the giver of all. O Apostle, rouse the believers to the fight. If there are 20 amongst you, patient and persevering, they will vanquish 200. If 100, they will vanquish 1,000 of the unbelievers. For these are people without understanding. For the present, Allah hath lightened your task, for he knoweth that there is a weak spot in you. But even so, if there are 100 of you, be patient and persevering. They will vanquish 200. And if 1,000, they will vanquish 2,000, with the leave of Allah. For Allah is with those who patiently persevere. It is not fitting for an apostle that he should have prisoners of war until he hath thoroughly subdued the land. Ye look on the temporal goods of this world, but Allah looketh to the hereafter, and Allah is exalted in might wise. Had it not been for a previous ordainment from Allah, a severe penalty would have reached you for the ransom that ye took. But now enjoy what you took in war, lawful and good. But fear Allah, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. And O Apostle, say to those who are captives in your hands, if Allah findeth any good in your hearts, he will give you something better than what has been taken from you, and he will forgive you, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. But if they have treacherous designs against the Apostle, they have already been in treason against Allah, and so hath he given thee power over them, and Allah is he who hath full knowledge and wisdom. Those who believe and adopt exile and fought for the faith with their property and their persons, the cause of Allah, as well as those who gave them asylum and aid, these are all friends and protectors one of another. As to those who believe but came not into exile, we owe no duty of protection to them until they come to exile. But if they seek your aid in religion, it is your duty to help them, except against the people with whom you have a treaty of mutual alliance. And remember Allah, seeth all that ye do. The unbelievers are protectors one of another. Unless you do this, that is, protect each other, there will be tumult and oppression on earth, and great mischief. Those who believe and adopt exile and fight for faith in the cause of Allah, as well as those who give them asylum and aid, these are all in very truth the believers. For them is the forgiveness of sins and a provision most generous. And those who accept faith subsequently and adopt exile and fight for the faith in your company, they are of you. But kindred by blood have prior rights against each other in the book of Allah. Verily, Allah is well acquainted with all things. Commentary 93, Introduction to Surah Tawbah. This is one of the surahs that does not begin with Bismillah, is the only surah that does not begin with Bismillah. Commentary 93. If the pagans repeatedly break their treaties, denounce the treaties, but give them time either to repent or to prepare for just punishment of their treachery. Punish the chiefs of the treacherous and destroy them. But if one of them seeks asylum, give it. Let him hear the word of Allah and escort him to security. Be true to the truth. But fight those who are false to plighted word and taunt you for your faith. No one has the right to approach the mosque of Allah unless he believes in Allah and follow Allah's law, the law of righteousness. Tawbah, repentance, or barat, immunity. A declaration of immunity from Allah and His apostle to those of the pagans with whom you have contracted mutual alliances. Go ye then for 4 months, backwards and forwards, as you will, throughout the land. But know ye that ye cannot frustrate Allah by your falsehood, but that Allah will cover with shame those who reject Him. An announcement from Allah and His apostle to the people assembled on the day of the great pilgrimage, that Allah and His apostle dissolve treaty obligations with the pagans. If then you repent, it were best for you. But if you turn away, know ye that ye cannot frustrate Allah, and proclaim a grievous penalty to those who reject faith. For the treaties are not dissolved with those pagans with whom you have entered into alliance, and who have not subsequently failed you in aught, nor aided anyone against you. So fulfill your engagements with them to the end of their term, for Allah loveth the righteous. But when the forbidden months are past, then fight and slay the pagans wherever you find them and seize them, beleaguer them and lie in wait for them in every stratagem of war. But if they repent and establish regular prayer and practice regular charity, then open the way for them, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. If one amongst the pagans asks thee for a sign of gratitude to him, so that he may hear the word of Allah and then escort him to where he can be secure, that's because they are men without knowledge. How can there be a league before Allah and His apostle with the pagans except those with whom you made a treaty near the sacred mosque? And as long as these stand true to you, stand ye true to them, for Allah doth love the righteous. How can there be such a league, seeing that if they get an advantage over you, they respect not in you the ties either of kinship or of covenant? With fair words from their mouths they entice you, but their hearts are averse from you, and most of them are rebellious and wicked. The signs of Allah have they sold for a miserable price, and many have they hindered from His way. Evil indeed are the deeds they've done. In a believer they respect not the ties either of kinship or of covenant. It is they who have transgressed all bounds. But even so, if they repent, establish regular prayer and practice regular charity, they are your brethren in faith. Thus do we explain signs in detail for those who understand. But if they violate their oaths after their covenant and taunt you for your faith, fight ye the chiefs of unfaith, for their oaths are nothing to them, that thus they may be restrained. Will you not fight people who violated their oaths, plotted to expel the apostle, and took the aggressive by being the first to assault you? Do you fear them? Nay, it is Allah whom you should more justly fear if you believe. But fight them, and Allah will punish them by your hands, cover them with shame, help you to victory over them, heal the breast of the believers, and still the indignation of their hearts. For Allah will turn in mercy to whom He will, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. Or think ye that ye shall be abandoned, as though Allah did not know those among you who strive with might and main, and take none for friends and protectors except Allah, His apostle, and the community of believers. But Allah is well acquainted with all that ye do. It is not for such as join gods with Allah to visit or maintain the mosque of Allah while they witness against their own souls to infidelity. The works of such bear no fruit. In fire shall they dwell. The mosque of Allah shall be visited and maintained by such as believe in Allah and in the last day, establish regular prayers and practice regular charity, and fear none at all except Allah. It is they who are expected to be on true guidance. Do you make the giving of drink to pilgrims or the maintenance of the sacred mosque equal to the pious service of those who believe in Allah in the last day and strive with might and main in the cause of Allah? They are not comparable in the sight of Allah. And Allah guides not those who do wrong. Those who believe and suffer exile and strive with might and main in Allah's cause with their goods and their persons, have the highest rank in the sight of Allah. They are the people who will achieve salvation. Their Lord doth give them glad tidings of a mercy from himself, of his good pleasure, and of a gardens for them wherein are delights that endure. They will dwell therein forever. Verily, in Allah's presence is a reward, the greatest of all. O you who believe, take not for protectors your fathers and your brothers if they love infidelity above faith. If any of you do so, they do wrong. Say, if it be that your fathers, your sons, your brothers, your mates, or your kindred, the wealth that you have gained, the commerce in which you fear decline, or the dwelling in which you delight are dearer to you than Allah or his apostle, or the striving in his cause, then wait until Allah brings about his decision, and Allah guides not the rebellious. Assuredly, Allah did help you in many battlefields on the day of Hunayn. Behold, your great numbers elated you, but they availed you not. The land for all that is wide did constrain you, and ye turned back and retreat. But Allah did pour his calm on the apostle and on the believers, and sent down forces which he saw not. He punished the unbelievers, thus doth he reward those without faith. Again, will Allah after this turn in mercy to whom he will, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. O you who believe, truly the pagans are unclean, so let them not after this year of theirs approach the sacred mosque. If ye fear poverty, soon will Allah enrich you, if he wills, out of his bounty, for Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. Fight those who believe not in Allah nor the last day, nor hold that forbidden which has been forbidden by Allah and his apostle, nor acknowledge the religion of truth, even if they are the people of the book, until they pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. Commentary 94. The enemies of faith would fain put out Allah's light, but Allah's light will shine more glorious than ever. Wealth is for use and on trust for mankind. Hoard not, nor misuse it. Fight a straight fight in the cause of right. Go forth bravely to strive and struggle, and prove yourselves worthy of Allah. The Jews call Uzair a son of Allah, and the Christians call Christ the son of Allah. That is a saying from their mouths. In this, they would imitate what the unbelievers of old used to say. Allah's curse be on them. How they are deluded away from the truth. They take their priests and their anchorites to be the laws and derogation of Allah, and they take as their Lord Christ, the son of Maryam. Yet they were commanded to worship one Allah. There is no God but he. Praise and glory to him. Far is he from having the parents they associate with him. Fain would they establish Allah's light with their mouths, but Allah will not allow but that his light should be perfected, even though the unbelievers may be tested. It is he who hath sent his apostle with guidance to the religion of truth, to proclaim it over all religions, even though the pagans may be tested. O you who believe, there are indeed many among the priests and anchorites who in falsehood devour the substance of men and hinder them from the way of Allah. And there are those who bury gold and silver and spend it not in the way of Allah. Announce unto them a most grievous penalty. On the day when heat will be produced out of that wealth in the fire of hell, and with it will be branded their foreheads, their flanks, and their backs. This is the treasure which ye buried for yourselves. Taste ye then the treasures ye buried. The number of months in the sight of Allah is 12 in a year, so ordained by him the day he created the heavens and the earth. Of them 4 are sacred, that is the strict usage. So wrong not yourselves therein, and fight the pagans altogether as they fight you altogether. But know that Allah is with those who restrain themselves. Verily, the transposing of a prohibited month is an addition to unbelief. The unbelievers are there to wrong thereby, for they make it lawful 1 year and forbidden another year, in order to adjust the number of months forbidden by Allah and make such forbidden ones lawful. The evil of their course seems pleasing to them, but Allah guideth not those who reject faith. O you who believe, what is the matter with you then, when you are asked to go forth in the cause of Allah, you cling heavily to the earth. Do you prefer the life of this world to the hereafter? But little is the comfort of this life as compared with the hereafter. Unless you go forward, he will punish you with a grievous penalty and put others in your place. But him you will not harm in the least, for Allah had power over all things. If you help not your leader, it's no matter, for Allah did indeed help him. When the unbelievers drove him out, he had no more than the one companion. They too were in the cave, and he said to his companion, "Have no fear, for Allah is with us." Then Allah sent down his peace upon him, and strengthened him with forces which he saw not, and humbled to the depths of the words of the unbelievers. But the word of Allah is exalted to the heights, for Allah is exalted in might wise. Go ye forth, whether equipped lightly or heavily, and strive and struggle with your goods and your persons in the cause of Allah. That is best for you, if you but knew. If there had been immediate gain in sight and the journey easy, they would all without doubt have followed thee. But the distance was long and weighed on them. They would indeed swear by Allah, if we only could, we should certainly have come out with you. They will destroy their own souls, for Allah doth know that they are certainly lying. Commentary 95. The believers do their duty and make no excuses, unlike the hypocrites, who are burdened whether they join you or hold back. No help should be accepted from these last, as they are false and insincere and have a slanderous tongue. Alms are for the poor and the needy, not for those who come in hypocrisy and mock at things sound. For the hypocrites will be found out and receive due punishment, while the righteous will be rewarded with bliss and the good pleasure of Allah. Allah give thee grace. Why didst thou grant them exemption unto those who told the truth were seen by thee in a clear light, and thou hast proved the liars? Those who believe in Allah in the last day, ask thee for no exemption from fighting with their goods and persons, and Allah knoweth well those who do their duty. Only those ask thee for exemption who believe not in Allah in the last day, and whose hearts are in doubt, so that they are tossed in their doubts to and fro. If they had intended to come out, they would certainly have made some preparation therefore, but Allah was averse to their being sent forth. So he made them lag behind, and they were told, "Sit ye among those who sit inactive." If they had come out with you, they would not have added to your strength, but only made for disorder, hurrying to and fro in your midst, and sowing sedition among you. And there would have been some among you who would have listened to them. But Allah knoweth well those who do wrong. Indeed, they had plotted sedition before, and upset matters for thee, until the truth arrived, and the decree of Allah became manifest, much to their disgust. Among them is many a man who says, "Grant me exemption, and draw me not into trial." Have they not fallen into trial already? And indeed, hell surrounds the unbelievers on all sides. If good befalls thee, it grieves them. But if a misfortune befalls thee, they say, "We took indeed our precautions beforehand." And they turn away rejoicing, saying, "Nothing will happen to us except what Allah has decreed for us. He is our protector, and on Allah let the believers put their trust." Say, can you expect for us any fate other than one of two glorious things, martyrdom or victory? But we can expect for you either that Allah will send his punishment from himself or by our hands. So wait expectant. We too will wait with you. Say, spend for the cause willingly or unwillingly. Not from you will it be accepted, for ye are indeed a people rebellious and wicked. The only reason why their contributions are not accepted are that they reject Allah and his apostle, that they come to prayer without earnestness, that they offer contributions unwillingly. Let not their wealth nor their following and sons dazzle thee. In reality, Allah's plan is to punish them with these things in this life, and that their souls may perish in their very denial of Allah. They swear by Allah that they are indeed of you, but they are not of you, yet they are afraid to appear in their true colors. If they could find a place to flee to, or caves, or a place of concealment, they would turn straightway thereto with an obstinate rush. And among them are men who slander thee in the matter of distribution of alms. If they are given part thereof, they are pleased, but if not, behold, they are indignant. If only they had been content with what Allah and His apostle gave them, and had said, sufficient unto us is Allah. Allah and His apostle will soon give us of His bounty. To Allah do we turn our hopes. That would have been the right course. Alms are for the poor and the needy, and those employed to administer the funds, for those whose hearts have been recently reconciled to truth, for those in bondage and in debt, in the cause of Allah, and for the wayfarer. Thus is it ordained by Allah, and Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. Among them are men who molest the Prophet and say, He is all ear. Say, He listens to what is best for you. He believes in Allah, has faith in the believers, and is a mercy to those of you who believe. For those who molest the apostle will have a grievous penalty. To you they swear by Allah in order to please you. But it is more fitting that they should please Allah and His apostle if they are believers. Know they not that for those who oppose Allah and His apostle is the fire of hell, wherein they shall dwell? That is the supreme disgrace. Now the hypocrites are afraid that the surah should be sent down about them, showing them what is really passing in their hearts. Say, not ye, but verily Allah will bring to light all that ye fear should be revealed. If thou dost question them, they declare with emphasis, we were only talking idly and in play. Say, was it at Allah and His signs and His apostle that you were mocking? Make you no excuses. You have rejected faith after you have accepted it. If we pardon some of you, we will punish the others amongst you. For that, they are in sin. Now the hypocrite men and women have an understanding with each other. They enjoin evil, forbid what is just, and are close with their hands. They have forgotten Allah, so He has forgotten them. Verily, the hypocrites are rebellious and perverse. Allah has promised the hypocrites, men and women, and the rejectors of faith, the fire of hell. Therein shall they dwell. Sufficient is it for them. For them is the curse of Allah and an enduring punishment. Now, as in the case of those before you, they were mightier than you in power, more flourishing in wealth and children. They had the enjoyment of their portion, and you have yours, as did those before you. And you indulged in idle talk as they did. Their works, are fruitless in this world and in the hereafter, and they will lose all spiritual good. Have not this story reached them of those before them? The people of Noah and Ad and Thamud, the people of Ibrahim, the men of Midian and the cities overthrown? To them came their apostles with clear signs. It is not Allah who wrongs them, but they wrong their own souls. The believers, men and women, are protectors one of another. They enjoin what is just, forbid what is evil. They observe regular prayers, practice regular charity, and obey Allah and His apostle. On them will Allah pour His mercy, for Allah is exalted in power wise. Allah has promised to believers, men and women, gardens under which rivers flow to dwell therein, and beautiful mansions and gardens of everlasting bliss. But the greatest bliss is the good pleasure of Allah. That is the supreme felicity. Commentary 96. The hardest striving and fighting are needed to combat evil and hypocrisy, for sin can reach a stage when the doors of forgiveness are closed. The good must shun all evil as unclean, and gladly welcome all chance of service and sacrifice as bringing them closer to the presence and mercy of Allah. O Prophet, strive hard against the unbelievers and the hypocrites, and be firm against them. Their abode is hell, an evil refuge indeed. And they swear by Allah that they said nothing evil, but indeed they uttered blasphemy, and they did it after accepting Islam. And they meditated a plot which they were unable to carry out. This revenge of theirs was their only return for the bounty with which Allah and His apostle had enriched them. If they repent, it will be best for them. But if they turn back to their evil ways, Allah will punish them with a grievous penalty in this life and in the hereafter. They shall have none on earth to protect or help them. Amongst them are men who made a covenant with Allah, that if He bestowed on them of His bounty, they will give largely in charity.
it would be truly amongst those who are righteous. But when he did bestow his bounty, they became covetous and turned back from their covenant, averse from his fulfillment. So he had put as a consequence hypocrisy into their hearts to the last, till the day whereon they shall meet him, because they broke their covenant with Allah, and because they lied again and again. Know they not that Allah doth know their secret thoughts and their secret counsels, and that Allah knoweth well all things unseen? Those who slander such of the believers as give themselves freely of deeds of charity, as well as such as can find nothing to give except the fruits of their labor, and throw ridicule on them, Allah will throw back their ridicule on them, and they shall have a grievous penalty. Whether thou ask for their forgiveness or not, their sin is unforgivable. And if thou ask 70 times for their forgiveness, Allah will not forgive them, because they have rejected Allah and his apostle. And Allah guided not those who are perversely rebellious. Those who were left behind in the Tabuk expedition rejoiced in their inaction behind the back of the apostle of Allah. They hated to strive and fight with their goods and their persons in the cause of Allah. They said, go not forth in the heat. Say, the fire of hell is fiercer in heat. If only they could understand. Let them laugh a little. Much will they weep. A recompense for the evil that they do. If then Allah brings thee back to any of them, and they ask thy permission to come out with thee, say, never shall ye come out with me, nor fight an enemy with me. For ye prefer to sit inactive on the first occasion. Then sit ye now with those who lag behind. Nor did I ever pray for any of them that dies, nor stand at his grave. For they reject Allah and his apostle, and died in a state of perverse rebellion. Nor let their wealth, nor their following and sons dazzle thee. Allah's plan is to punish them with these things in this world, and that their souls may perish in their very denial of Allah. Now when the surah comes down enjoining them to believe in Allah and to strive and fight along with his apostle, those with wealth and influence among the mass for exemption, they say, leave us behind. We would be with those who sit at home. They prefer to be with the women who remain behind at home. Their hearts are sealed, and so they understand not. But the apostle and those who believe with him strive and fight with their wealth and their persons. For them are all good things, as it is they who will prosper. Allah has prepared for them gardens under which rivers flow, to dwell therein. Now that is the supreme felicity. And there were among the desert Arabs also men who made excuses and came to claim exemption. And those who were false to Allah and his apostle merely sat inactive. Soon will a grievous penalty seize the unbelievers among them. There is no blame on those who are infirm or ill, or who find no resources to spend on the causes. If they are sincere in duty to Allah and his apostle, no ground of complaint can there be against such as do right. And Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Nor is there blame on those who came to thee to provide with mounts. And when thou sayest, I can find no mount for you, they turn back their eyes streaming with tears of grief that they had no resources wherewith to provide the expenses. The ground of complaint is against such as claim exemption while they are rich. They prefer to stay with the women who remain behind. Allah has sealed their hearts so that they know not what they missed. Alhamdulillah. Oh, this Quran is so powerful. Every night we read it, my brothers and sisters. May Allah bless all of us. And as a reminder, I continue to always enforce the power of giving. You know, here at the First Cleveland Mosque, go to CashApp, $ First Cleveland. Please give, inshallah. Have a heart always to give, especially during Ramadan. You're not losing anything. You're gaining multiple rewards. Go to First Cleveland Mosque, 3613 East 131st Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120. If you want to send a check or send some cash, go to firstclevelandmosque.org. Go into PayPal. If you wish to spend, go into PayPal and go into Zelle.
You know, in Zelle also, you'll see First Cleveland Mosque account in Zelle. We love you, brothers and sisters, and we really miss you here at the mosque. And we thank all of you for tuning in with us. And a reminder that the fast break is at 8:28 tonight. So break your fast, have iftar, and immediately hasten always to break your fast. And we love you here at the First Cleveland Mosque. And I want to extend my greeting to all of you who have tuned in. Get other people to tune in with you, inshallah, by saying to you, Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak.